Friday afternoon. My phone is silenced. You joined us on the Blue Plate Special. I'm Andy Andrews. We're here at Wisdom Harbor Studios in Orange Beach, Alabama. We're glad to have you here. We're located on the second floor of the wharf in Orange Beach. We are 8 palm trees up from the Marlin statues on the west side. West side? West side. I'm facing east, and it's hard to figure out when I haven't got my compass in my head. So we're glad to have you here. Click that notification button if you're new to us. If you are joining us on Facebook, that notification button should be to your right. And please click that and turn the notifications on your phone. And that way, when we go live, you'll be notified. If you're on YouTube, please click the subscribe button. And then back to Facebook, if you could share us, that would be great. That would be great. Today's going to be a great show. We have done a lot of research for today's show. Probably more research than we usually do. You can probably tell if you're a regular viewer, we don't do a ton of research. But we have fun. This is lunchtime learning and laughter on the Blue Plate Special. If you're with Twitter, welcome. If you're with watching us on LinkedIn, please loosen your tie and join us. We know that LinkedIn people are always dressed in tie and dress attire. So, how do you like my shirt? The shirt is from Buc-ee's. Yeah. That's right. And Marcy Crosser Taylor from Pasco, Washington. Do you know what Buc-ee's is? Do you know what Buc-ee's is? Linda Joy Stansel Payne, good morning. And God bless you too. Nancy Bergen, hey. You're my high school buddy, right? Monte Vista, Colorado. But are you aware of what Buc-ee's is? Do you know? Buc-ee's is a convenience store. I know a lot of people are going, well, if you want to call it that. Well, that's what the owner calls it. He says, yeah, I have a couple of convenience stores. But Buc-ee's is like, how do I put this? Buc-ee's is to a convenience store like the Grand Canyon is to the pothole in front of your house. Okay? I mean, Buc-ee's it's a phenomenon. And we have one here. We have one right on the Beach Expressway and I-10. And they originate in Texas. And they're being built all over now. But these, the one we have here, it's just kind of small. It's small. It's 55,000 square feet inside, 120 gas pumps. And they don't allow big trucks. This is just for families. They have the cleanest bathrooms. I mean, you could eat off the bathroom floor. Don't, but you could. You could. And if you can, you want to, don't, but you could. I mean, they're massive bathrooms, and they're clean, and the food is great. The food is great. If you have a chance to get a brisket sandwich, just get it, okay? But Buc-ee's is, the founder is a friend of mine, actually. He's a friend of mine now, and his name is Beaver Applin. And, you think his name is Beaver? Yes, his name is Beaver. And his mother named him that when, it's not his real name, but his real name is Arch Applin, but he's gone by Beaver since before he could be aware of anything, because his mother called him that when he was an infant. And so the beaver is the symbol of Buc-ee's. But Buc-ee was his dog when he opened his first convenience store in Texas. So he named it Buc-ee's, but the beaver became the symbol, and he and his beautiful wife Joni are great friends of ours. So anyway, the shirt, and also these things, the beaver nuggets. Oh man, I mean they're really really good. Austin kind of fell in love with them first, and then shared them with the rest of the gang. And okay, we're gonna have a lunch break, and I don't know about the greatest storyteller ever, but I do like to tell them. Sandra Mendonca, good afternoon from Searcy, Arkansas, home of Harding University, where they ate their mascot. In the studio today, we have Brian and Lisa from Charleston, Illinois. That's you guys, right? Yeah, I talked to you guys earlier. David and Becky Orr from Points North in Alabama, and Scout from Southwest Arkansas. Now, I've met you before, haven't I? You don't forget somebody named Scout. My wife, I hope my wife is watching to know that there's somebody named Scout. That's her favorite book, because I'm sure you were named after Scout in the book, not that your parents met some Boy Scout and then they named you Scout, but you're Scout in the book, yeah. I read To Kill a Mockingbird when I was very young, and when I was reading, that was one of the words, Atticus Finch. That name was one of the words that, when you grow older and you figure out how to pronounce a word and you realize, oh, I've been mispronouncing that. I read Lassie books, and Lassie's mom, or Timmy's mom, drove a 4-door sedan. That's what I thought it was. I thought sedan was pronounced sedan, a 4-door sedan. I'd never heard anybody talk about a sedan, so 4-door sedan. And I don't know how many of you read military ranks as colonel, colonel, but that's what I thought it was. And when I read To Kill a Mockingbird, I was in my mind pronouncing it Atticus Finch, the father of Scout, Atticus, which sounds like some kind of Roman name or something, doesn't it? Chet Halcoon in a wet and chilly Dallas, Georgia. Twyla. You hope I'll talk about the lifeguards at Orange Beach? Why is that? Is there something about the lifeguards that you want to know or that you would like reinforced? We have them. Bob Woodall, how are you doing? Bob, you recognize this? You recognize that kind of pear? Now that's the good kind of pear. They don't have pears like that in the grocery store. That's good. We used to call them sand pears. That kind of wild pear, that hard, crispy pear. And Tracy Woods, Grant and Tracy Woods from growingdeer.com sent us a box of these pears off their trees. So we've been having these for lunch. Nancy Hazel Brown, rainy and dreary in Joplin, Missouri. I'm so sorry. Peggy Key McDuffie from Pelham, Alabama. Guess what the show is going to be about today? We're going to play a game. And as I say hi to a few more people, if you're watching, make sure you have a piece of paper and a pen handy. And Little M, could we get pieces of paper and pencils and pens for our studio guests? Because we want you to be able to play along with, it's game show day here. And we'll tell you, and the grammar Nazi has just joined us. My wife, Polly Andrews, the grammar Nazi, she says she was named for Scout, not after Scout. I'm not sure what a big dang difference that makes, but okay. Good grief, dear. You just gotta correct me in public in front of my friends, but that's why you're the grammar Nazi. Okay. One day I'm going to get on here and I'm just going to mess up every piece of grammar that I can think to mess up. I'm going to say, we went to the store, or do you want to go to the store with Polly and I? And they'll probably make you just quiver into a bowl of Jell-O. Okay, the game, we've got 30 quotes from movies that have happened through the years, and these 30 quotes have become part of our everyday vernacular. They've been part of our vocabulary, and so what we're going to do, and we've already done this around the office to give you an idea how this works. What we're going to do is, and Kathy Goodwin's grandson is named Atticus, and he's named after Atticus. Is that right? Was that right? He's named after, not for? He's named for? Okay. Okay. I don't know that rule. I don't know the rule. I mean, there's got to be some rule that I can remember, like, I before E except after C, and, something like that. There's got to be some kind of rule. Honestly, one of the few things that I can remember from school, Bob Woodall, and I'm sure you're with me on this, one of the few things I can actually remember from school is the definition of osmosis. It's when a liquid of high concentration moves to a liquid of low concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. I don't even know what that means, but I got it right on a science test in, I think, the 5th grade. So your grandson is Atticus. Do you pronounce it Atticus or Atticus? Anyway, the movies, we got 30 quotes from movies. And so here's how we want you to keep score. And we would like to hear from you about just kind of what category, age group you're in, okay? Because what we did, hey, Gene McDonald, get your paper, get your pen. You need to play on this game. Gene McDonald, I showed several people your video yesterday with, Gene has the lowest voice in the world. Just look up Gene McDonald on YouTube. It's unbelievable. He's unbelievable. So as we did these movie quotes, I started with Little M, okay? And I said, Little M, you're a solid Gen Z. You're 20 years old, right? She's 20 years old. She looks 6, but she's 20. And she's a solid Gen Z. And so I said, I'm gonna say these quotes for you, and I want you to tell me if you've heard the quote, if you've heard it used, if you're familiar with the quote, and then tell me where it originated, where it came from. Okay, so as a testament to just how many of these quotes have turned into just everyday language, our 20-year-old, out of 30 quotes, she has heard 20 of them, but she only knew where 6 of them came from. All right, now this is interesting. Then we went to our kind of combination Gen Z millennial, Matt Jack, who is 26. And at 26, he had heard 22 of them, but he only knew where 9 originated. Just so you know, a 20-year-old with 20 and a 26-year-old with 22, 20-year-old with 6 and 9. Then we went to Matt, our solid millennial, our 30-year-old, a true adult, even though you don't act like one sometimes. And at 30 years of age, out of 30 movie quotes, Matt had heard 25 of them. And he knew the origination of 21. So, Linda Joyce, Stanzel Payne. Can we cheat? No, you can't. You're on the honor system. Don't let me look out there and see something written on your hand or see you on the internet. Okay? So you can't cheat. But thank you for being honest enough to ask. Okay? So then we went to our boomer. Okay? We went to SB. And out of 30 movie quotes, SB was familiar with 30 of them. but she only knew the origination of 15. But isn't that amazing that the older somebody is, the more likely they were to have heard these quotes? So, without Linda Joyce cheating, and with everybody playing along, let's get started. All right, are you ready? Are you ready? Number one, the first. Deanna Kilpatrick says, oh, darn, like you were expecting to cheat. Okay. Matt, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I don't see anything.
All right, let me pull them up. I thought you had the questions in front of you on that paper.
No, that's why we put them on the prompter,
All right, just a moment.
so that we can make people think I'm just memorizing this.
Sing us your favorite song.
What?
Sing us your favorite song.
Okay, Matt, let's see. Favorite song? Well, it's not my favorite song, but the one that comes to mind is when criminals in this world appear and do the things we all should fear. There is no need to worry here. The cry goes out for far and near for underdog, 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 speed of lightning, roar of thunder. No need to fear. Underdog is here. You got it?
I am copying them over right now.
See, I told you that sometimes he was immature.
There we go.
All right, here we go. Number one. Number one, go ahead. Make my day. You got that? So mark whether you know it, and I'm about to tell you where it's from, but you will know whether you knew what it was from. That is from a Dirty Harry movie called Sudden Impact with Clint Eastwood. All right, number two, starting off with a couple of easy ones here. I Can't Refuse. All right. That is actually was Marlon Brando, The Godfather. Number three, There's No Place Like Home. You heard it? Know where it's from? It's Wizard of Oz. Wizard of Oz, a 1939 movie. Number four, I've got a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. Got your marking done? That is also from The Wizard of Oz. Number five, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Which is also from The Wizard of Oz. And let's pause after our first five to tell you, like Wizard of Oz, 1939, so that's 82 years old. That movie is 82 years old. And from those 82 years, I have hated that movie for 62 of them. For 62. I hate Wizard of Oz. I don't know why. I mean, that used to come on like every year it would come on. And I just like, I didn't know why I didn't like that movie. But I got to see a part of it as an adult, and I think I know why. I think I know why. It's because, you go through all this, we're not in Kansas anymore, all of this stuff going on, and you get to the end of this like 7-hour movie, and the witch says, Dorothy, just click your heels and say there's no place like home, there's no place like home, there's no place like home, and you will be there. And I'm like, you're just telling her this? You could have told her this 7 hours ago, and we wouldn't have had to sit through the flying monkeys and all this other. That movie still irritates me. All right, number 6. May the Force be with you. Got it? 1977 movie Star Wars. All right. Now we're going to get into something a little tougher. All right. Number 7 is, you talking to me? Have you heard it? You heard that phrase used? You talking to me? You know where it's from? That is from Taxi Driver. And Robert De Niro was talking to a mirror, and he was a crazy person, and he was like practicing an imagined confrontation, and he ad-libbed the line, and that just kind of went with, you talking to me? And then he turned around and go, hey, you talking to me? And just did it over and over, but he was ad-libbing the line, and that became, this amazing, memorable line from movie history that people still use right before they get into a fight, I guess. But I thought it was very funny that our 20-year-old Gen Z, little M, she recognized that one, and she was sure she knew where it originated. She said, that's from Alvin and the Chipmunks movie. Well, they may have used it, but it isn't where it originated with Taxi Driver, even though she hears it in her head as, you talking to me? So, number eight, you can't handle the truth. You recognize it, of course, but do you know the movie is from? I see you're looking on her paper. I told them they couldn't cheat. You're going to cheat? You're going to cheat? All right. That is from A Few Good Men. That was Jack Nicholson to Tom Cruise. And Matt, how did you use that? How old were you? Get the microphone. How old were you?
I was 10.
And what grade?
5th grade.
And you had just seen the movie. That was the first movie you were able to see with cussing in it.
That's right.
And so the next day, what did you do in class?
So I was in 5th grade, and it was time to turn in homework at Miss Leonard's class. And she said, everybody put your homework out on your desks. And I put mine in my little cubby. And she came over and she said, Matthew, where's your homework at? I said, do you want the truth? She said, yes, I want the truth. And I said, you can't handle the truth.
Okay, number 9. You had me at hello. The movie was Jerry Maguire, Renee Zellweger to Tom Cruise. Number 10, Show Me the Money. Also from Jerry Maguire. Yeah. All right. Number 11, I'll Be Back. Everybody in here is nodding. Yep, Terminator. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, on this one, I'm not gonna hold you to the detailed name of the movie, as long as you know which movie, just kind of generally. But number 12 is Hasta la Vista, Baby. Also Schwarzenegger, but the movie was Terminator 2, technically. Okay, but as long as you got Terminator, that's okay. Number 13, I'm the King of the World. That was Leonardo DiCaprio in Titanic. Did you guys see that movie? You did? I did not. You saw it 5 times? Wow. I never saw it because I was actually going to get tickets to the movie and somebody told me that at the end the ship sank, and I'm like, well, thanks, you just ruined it for me. So I never went to see that. I don't like to know the ending before it's time. So number 14. Number 14. Now this was one that the younger guys did not get. Okay, number 14 is Win One for the Gipper. They had not even heard that. And I know you guys have heard it, but do you know what movie it's from? If you don't know what movie it's from, I'll give you credit if you knew who the Gipper was. The movie was Knute Rockne, All-American. It was done in 1940. And Ronald Reagan played the part of George Gipp. All right? And so George Gipp had cancer, and he died, and he was a popular member of the team. And so there's a famous scene in the locker room before the game, or it was actually at halftime. And the guys were behind. And Knute Rockne did the famous speech. And here is exactly what the speech was. The speech was, "Now I'm going to tell you something I've kept to myself for years. None of you ever knew George Gipp. He was long before your time. But you all know what a tradition he is at Notre Dame. And the last thing he said to me, Rock, he said, sometime when the team is up against it and the breaks are beating the boys, tell them to go out there with all they've got and win just one for the Gipper. I don't know where I'll be then, Rock, he said, but I'll know about it and I'll be happy." And they ran out of the locker room and they won one for the Gipper. And so, but that's where that came from. Number 15. There's no crying in baseball. That's one of the all-time great lines to me, and it's probably one that has been said over and over and over again, especially on Little League fields. Hey, kid, there's no crying in baseball. This was from A League of Their Own, and Tom Hanks was the manager of an all-female team during World War II. And one of them was crying about something, and he was just totally upset by it. And he said, hey, there's no crying in baseball. All right, number 16. Number 16. The line is, we're going to need a bigger boat. That gets said a lot around here. It was from Jaws, 1975. And if you remember the scene, Roy Schneider, the sheriff, was out on the back, and he's like throwing chum in and muttering about, you know, you just got to do this. And all of a sudden, this shark comes up like, boom, just like right there behind him, and just like floats down. And he's like shocked and walks in the cabin. And they said, what's wrong? He goes, we're going to need a bigger boat. So that movie scared everybody out the shower for years. So, number 17. What we've got here is a failure to communicate. It's actually kind of said like, what we got here is a failure to communicate. Do you know the movie? David Orr, do you know the movie? You did? I figured you would. 1967, Cool Hand Luke. Paul Newman was part of a chain gang in a prison, and Strother Martin was the mean, guy with the bullwhip, and what we have here is a failure to communicate. And that became just a line, that still goes on. Number 18. Number 18, we don't need no stinking badges. Now, I must say that Matt Jack did not get this, and I know that his father will be disappointed because I've heard Mike Jakubik say that 1,000 times. We don't need no stinking badges. Now, you know where it originated? Do you? No? You guys? No? Nobody really got this one either. I could have told you where it became famous, but I could not have told you where it originated. It originated in 1948 in the Treasure of the Sierra Madre. And the movie had a bandit named Gold Hat who, during a highway robbery, attempted to impersonate a sheriff. And so when the potential victim calls his bluff and asks to see a badge, Gold Hat responds, "Badges? We ain't got no badges. We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges." But where everybody remembers it from is nearly 30 years later, that line was put in the movie Blazing Saddles by Mel Brooks. And it was said the way that you remember it, which is, "We don't need no stinking badges." Mike Jakubik says, "Yeah, not just a little disappointed." Number 19. All right. Now, I know you've heard the line, but do you know the movie in which that line originated? Yes, it was Matthew McConaughey. And it was from a movie called Dazed and Confused in 1993. Number 20. We're on the home stretch. The line is, "They're here." Very famous line that is still used today every time unwanted guests show up and behind the scenes somebody says, "They're here." The movie was Poltergeist in 1982. And it was a little girl that could see the ghosts or whatever. "They're here." Okay, number 21. What do you mean I'm funny? Anybody? Well, I got to tell you, the movie, it was a 1990 movie, and the movie was Goodfellas. And Joe Pesci's character is the one who said it. Ray Liotta, playing Henry Hill, this mafia guy, is the one who prompted it. And if you go on YouTube and watch this scene, it is still, I mean, without having any horror movie kind of thing or anything like that, no somebody jumping out at somebody. It is one of the most uncomfortable scenes you have ever seen because Joe Pesci is scary in this because he's a mob guy and everybody is kind of scared of him because he's a little guy, but he's crazy. He's just crazy, and so he's sitting there in a restaurant with several other mob guys, and they're just drinking and having dinner, and they're just laughing, having a conversation, and Joe Pesci tells a joke or something, and everybody laughs, and Ray Liotta says, "Hey, you're funny." And just like that, Pesci goes, "Funny how? You think I'm funny? Like how? Funny like a clown? You think I'm funny?" And everybody's like, No. I mean, but that is a creepy scene, man. Funny like a clown? I mean, like, he's just fixing to come unglued and kill everybody. It's just weird. Speaking of kill everybody, here is number 22. Say hello to my little friend. Got that one? Yep. Scarface, the 1983 classic starring Al Pacino. With a machine gun in his hand, say hello to my little friend. Well, we're here on a theme. So number 23 is, I see dead people. Know where that's from? That is from a movie called The Sixth Sense. Haley Joel Osment to Bruce Willis. I see dead people. If you haven't seen the movie, I don't really recommend it because it's so creepy, but I won't tell you what's happening because it would ruin it. So, number 24. The line is, here's looking at you, kid. You've heard it, right? Do you know the movie? The movie is Casablanca. Or in the South, Casablanca. 1943, Humphrey Bogart speaks the line 4 times in the movie to Ingrid Bergman. And I thought it was very curious that our Gen Z, our 20-year-old Gen Z, had never heard that line. Here's looking at you, kid. Never heard that line. Okay. Number 25, run, Forrest, run. The movie's Forrest Gump. That was Jenny to Forrest Gump. And that is used today. It's an appropriate thing to say anytime you see somebody putting one foot in front of the other at a pace faster than a walk. That's just what people say. Run, Forrest, run. All right, number 26. You got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? Okay, this quote was first delivered. It's been delivered on every playground since. Okay, but it was first delivered by one of the greatest tough guy one-liner masters in Hollywood history. This was Clint Eastwood in the 71 classic Dirty Harry. And Eastwood's character, Harry Callahan, has been in the middle of an intersection with his pistol cannon. It's a boom, boom, and this one guy, it ran. Okay, and so Callahan chases him down, and the guy is like backed up, and Callahan, here's what he says. He says, because the guy is about to move on him, and Callahan goes, I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I kind of lost track myself. But being this is a .44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off, you gotta ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? So, the bad guy sags back. The bad guy relents. But society has never relented from incorporating that line into any confrontation that runs the risk of getting ugly. Do you feel lucky, punk? Do you? Number 27. It's only a flesh wound. Anybody? The movie was Monty Python and the Holy Grail, 1975. And the line was said by the Black Knight after having his limbs cut off in a sword fight with King Arthur. It's only a flesh wound. Number 28. The line is, I'm your Huckleberry. The movie was 1993. It was Tombstone. And Doc Holliday, played by Val Kilmer, he let the bad guy know that he was ready to shoot it out with him. I mean, Johnny Ringo came into town. He's wanting to see blood, and he's wanting to challenge everybody. And Wyatt Earp says, "Hey, not today. We're not doing this." And Johnny Ringo says, "I want blood now." And Val Kilmer steps off the porch and he says, "I'm your Huckleberry." So this is Tombstone. And the line can be tossed out to anyone, and is tossed out to anybody who's daring the room for a challenge, whether it's a game of Trivial Pursuit or pickup basketball or anything in between. Somebody says, "All right, who wants to play? Who's going to play me? Who's going to play me?" And somebody goes, "I'm your Huckleberry." So there's where that came from. Number 29, you'll shoot your eye out. You got that one right. The movie is A Christmas Story, 1983, a classic. Everybody in this movie says it to Ralphie. Poor kid, all he wants is a Red Ryder BB gun with a compass in the stop and a thing that tells time. Number 30, this is the last one. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. That was Clark Gable in the 1939 classic Gone with the Wind. And, that is probably still used. He said it in response to Scarlett O'Hara's question at the end of the movie where she said, "Where shall I go? What shall I do?" And Rhett Butler, Clark Gable, looked right at her and said, "Frankly, my dear," or he said, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn." So that line, you can and probably should use it whenever you're not concerned with the fate of someone who believes that you should be concerned with their fate. You just say, "Frankly, I don't give a damn." And I thought it was very curious that our 20-year-old Gen Z had also never heard this line. Now, that may just be because you wasn't around any cussing growing up, but I would have thought you would have heard that. Even in the Baptist version, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a darn." Frankly, my dear. Okay. In the chat boxes coming in, it would seem that Gary Stuckey got the most live answers, but we're waiting on anybody else who would like to share, because right now Gary Stuckey's the only one who answered. But anybody else who would like to share? Deanna Kilpatrick got 18 out of 30. Now, see, I'm curious, is it like 18 that you recognized, but how many did you get? So I have to just post them for everybody later. Linda Joy Stansel Payne says she's only 70 and only heard 21 and only knew 7 titles. You have not spent your life watching movies. That's good. And you didn't cheat, so that's good too. Jeannie Pruitt, 24 out of 30. And you were surprised yourself that you'd seen so many of the movies. Some of the ones, Gary Stuckey got 27 out of 30. Some of the movies, I knew the lines, but I had not seen the movies. I kind of knew, like, I hadn't seen, I'd never seen Scarface. but I knew, say hello to my little friend. But I've never seen Scarface. So there were several of those movies. There's just, and I wish I had never seen Wizard of Oz. Just wish I'd never seen that movie. It's just a horrible movie. And so I don't recommend that movie. All right, you guys. So next week, Mike Jakubik. Mike Jakubik got 29. I would have expected that from you, but you missed Titanic? You're probably like me. You probably didn't see Titanic. So, did somebody ruin it for you too? Somebody ruin it? Yeah. Well, that's the way it goes. Okay. All right. Well, had a good day. This was fun. And we've got a much more going on here in the studio today. I know you guys go back to your lives, but we're going to be recording a podcast in here with a great guest, and I think you'll see that in a couple of weeks. But we appreciate you being with us here today, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.